Hello again. So, I made a video not long ago about this indoctrinated woman from Yalta, and I noticed that her behavior was so similar to many groups that aim to do something positive but actually are destructive, such as uh, Rajneesh Bhagwan Osho and his followers. Hare Krishna, same, they're destructive towards children in particular, but actually also this moron who started this sect, which was it? Allowed this guy, a psychopath, to be in charge. And let's see. Then you have Jim Jones, who went to Guyana. He wanted to be away from other people to get his followers not influenced. Shunyamurti, similar to Jim Jones in that he went to something far away, South America, I think, somewhere. And he lets his followers pay for a lavish lifestyle. He made moronic videos about, for example, Ukraine, the war, how it would go, and that is similar to that idiot that I mentioned in a video from Belarus who makes predictions that are just complete fantasy. This guy's the same. He wants something, and from there he comes to fantasy. What I mentioned not so long ago in the video is really true, is that most people do not reason. They only reason when they are forced to, or when it's in fields that they were educated. For example, someone has studied physics, then they will use a sort of good analytical way of thinking when dealing with things in physics, but he won't use it, by the way, in other areas, generally in life. That's almost always the truth. And that's because almost nobody is searching for the truth. And what happens is they say things that they want to be, that conforms to their vision of what they want in life and how they want the world to be. That's what this guy does. He makes fantasy videos. You could read it on my website. It's very interesting in how in that it shows exactly how crazy some people are. This guy is absolutely not in any way wise, and he pretends to give wisdom, and he lets other people pay for these lessons and exhibit them. So anyway, a lot of also psychopaths in charge. These kinds of groups always attach narcissists, malignant narcissists, psychopaths. It's always the same thing. This group. So back to this. Ecological sustainable living in Kharkov in 2016 and 18. So this, I will tell you what happened from the start. You can read all the details on my site. I will go here over a few of the most important things. So I met her in 2016. We went to a picnic. We had contact via VKontakte, which is the Russian and at the time also Ukrainians counterpart to Facebook. Facebook is a horrible site. VKontakte is actually pretty good, pretty useful. So she brought some food that she's made herself, but also some tarhoon. Tarhoon is a Georgian soft drink, originally made from herbs. And I only knew it as a soft drink that you can buy in shops, and I really liked that taste. I had mentioned that, so she made. She told me she thought what was tarhoon like, approximately the taste. She imagined it and then added some herbs and created it. And it was better than any tarhoon I've ever tried. It's better than any soft drink I ever tried. It was fantastic. And she also had interesting ideals on what to do in life. She made, I think she also already showed a painting at that time that she made. I thought, oh, that's pretty good. And so I made a positive comment about that, about her. I think, yeah, she's cool, that you're cool. She made a derogatory comment in a way about it, implying that I was lying, namely, come on, she said. As if I'm lying, trying to make her interested or something. That's that was a indication of that I should have let her go and not have keep in contact. Usually people tell you what they are like immediately, and they tell you the essence of them in small comments, but you need to keep track of all these comments. So this was just a small comment. I didn't like it, and I should have at that time known, oh, this is a problem. But yeah, usually you want something yourself, you're interested in something, and that overrides such thoughts, such realizations better. Okay, the second time I would meet her was a few months later. I was going to a second trip to Ukraine. She invited me to a restaurant to meet, and I met people from this group. I didn't know it at the time yet. I knew that only much later, in 2018. When we talked, she told me that these were the same people. She told me later also that she'd worked there, gave them recipes, and wasn't paid there for her work. I didn't find that acceptable, and she was dismissive of my criticism. But let's continue. We'll go back to that later. So at the back of the restaurant, it was later. I don't know how long we'd been there. Perhaps an hour and a half or so, and maybe it's like 9:30 or 10 in the evening. So on a Friday, I think it was, and they were starting to make music, and they said, oh, let's join them. So she knew these people, and we sat beside them and we talked a bit about the music, and I thought, yeah, it's interesting, which I liked. I think the music that they made was interesting, but at the same time, which I didn't tell them, is that I got a bit of a feeling like what you can see in the documentaries from the 60s, with people meditating, also making music. It's very, very similar, flower power era, and that gives me a bit of a uncomfortable feeling, because often these people are not grounded enough in reality. These are actually better in that regard than many of these groups that are doing meditation, etc., such as the Bhagwan, Osho, Rajneesh, Hare Krishna, etc., because they're self-sufficient. They were paying for everything themselves. They were not begging. They were not gathering funds. They were just working and paying for everything themselves. So that's good. But there were a lot of other issues with them. My friend translated where needed from time to time. She wanted to leave at some point. She had to go back to the apartment, and she said to me, yeah, you can stay here with these people, and I declined. I left with her. I did not come to meet that group. I came to meet her and do a few other things in Ukraine. We kept in touch, 5 contacts about all kinds of topics, but mostly it was one-sided. It's the only case where it was coming from her interest was something she wanted. It's usually that way, that people want something from you, then they will seek you out. She wants to know about getting, for example, systems to get heat or in other way energy from decay of organic material, and what was being done in that sense in the Netherlands. So I searched a bit and I showed her a few things about what's done in to grow vegetables, for example, in the Netherlands, in these buildings full of with glass, etc. Let's see. Well, it doesn't really matter. So at some point I decided, I'm not going to write her anymore because it's one-sided, it's a waste of time. She didn't write me, so that really showed it's her disinterest. So that was the third time, and I should have let it go, but okay, I did let it go for a long time. But I read a bit about on her V-Contacted page, from time to time I just had a look and I saw some references to a hiking trip. I don't know if it was before or after the gathering that I had. So when we still had contact, she invited me to a meeting, which is later in 2017. It was in or near Kharkov. She didn't make it clear at the time. For meditation and other things. I don't think really meditation is useful. It's not necessary. What is necessary is that people understand life, and all these groups do not understand life, and they do not teach what makes sense in how to live properly. All right, so I was not interested in. I asked her, "Do you want me to come to talk, etc.?" She didn't reply to that. So obviously she invited me to be there, but was not actually interested in meeting me, talking with me about various issues. So yeah, that was one of the another point where she showed this interest in even having contact as a friend. But yeah, I always kept in mind her positive qualities, her goals, etc. I mean, a lot is similar to what I think, so I liked that. But yeah, mostly you need to look at the bad qualities of people, not the good ones. You need to look at the bad ones first. So anyway, on our V-Contacted page, she had some links to these guys from a group. I didn't know it at the time that they were a group and that she was involved in that group. But one of them was selling honey. The other was posted later some videos about what they were doing. I think you would call it blowing life into a village. That was was not really viable, yeah. Well, it was not great. It's like decaying, that people leave. There's not enough life in the village. They were trying to do something good. People were trying to make them look bad. That's what she later told me. But anyway, so there was also the trip to Crimea. I thought it was weird that you would make a trip to Crimea at the time. She didn't tell me anything, so it was about early 2017 that I stopped writing, and she stopped. And she didn't write me because, yeah, obviously she wasn't really interested. Okay, autumn 2018, I was thinking about what to do. It was taking so long. The house renovations. I wanted to do something different for a while. I'd done like the roof, that was easy. Then electric wiring, changing all of that. That was also not so difficult. Much more time consuming was, for example, new stucco, new ceilings, putting in things like double glazing upstairs, partially. Later I did the rest. Other things, all the details. It takes so much time to make a house really finished. I could have built a house with all the work that I did, but it costs a lot more money to build a house from scratch rather than renovate a house. But renovating a house costs so much time, so I was a bit annoyed. So autumn 2018, thinking about what to do. I want to do something else for a while. Or for a while, or do something and then decide what to do with the house. So I thought back to her. I thought maybe I should contact her again. And I sent a message on Viber and I asked how it was going, and she said, "Yeah, everything's going better. She had some positive experiences, etc. But reality was different. Reality overruled fantasy at some point." And she sent a message that she was distressed a bit. It was clear from her what she wrote. She wanted she showed a painting in a previous message a while ago. I thought, wow, looks really nice. I like it. She asked me to buy it for some money that she needed. I thought, okay, let's do this. So to be away from the house renovations, which were taking ages, and I got tired of it. Let's go to Ukraine. Let's go there and have a talk. I want to have a talk with people about life in Ukraine versus Western Europe. So I thought long ago already, the people in Ukraine don't realize the good points of their country, culture, etc. They don't appreciate it enough. And that's the same, for example, with the bus stops that I showed. I made a lot of pictures of bus stops, of these old Soviet-era bus stops with folk art, inlaid tiles, paintings. I thought I made pictures. I showed it to people in Ukraine, and they really liked it, but they don't know about it or don't look at it. And I thought, these are amazing. It's nice. And there's so many nice things in Ukraine, but not just about also humor, for example. I really like Ukrainian humor, unusual humor. Okay, so I asked her to organize a meeting. She was working in a language school and could be there, or perhaps at university, or somewhere else with friends from her university, anywhere. People who are interested in this topic, I would be interested in discussing it. So we went to Kharkov in December. It was -12 Celsius. I like that. I like it when it's hot. I like it when it's cold, not when it's rainy. And yeah, like in the Netherlands, I don't like the weather here in winter especially, but in summer it's also usually not very good. I stayed in a hostel and I met her mother and her father and brother a few days later. It was her mother's birthday, and they invited me. I took something with me. I think it was perhaps some roasted chocolate or something from the Netherlands. I usually take something with me to give to people I meet just for fun. I like to give things. It's interesting to see what people think of what I like, if they also like it. So in the Ukraine, for example, you don't really have good cookies. I don't like it, and candies also not really. So I take sometimes some stuff with me for friends to try out. Let's see. Oh yes. So I talked in the meeting. It was her mother's birthday, and my friend suggested, let's do a practice talk about what you want to talk about in the meeting with other people, the discussion. And I did that. They were not really that interested, but okay. Her mother then suggested to stay in the apartment, which was a bit weird at the time. I thought, but it's her, my friend's apartment, I thought, but it turned out to be her parents' apartment. But even then, why would she suggest it for her daughter, to get a guy to stay there? But so I said only if she wants it, and then I did it because I thought it would be a good idea to have some longer talks about all the issues that she had, but also I could then perhaps discuss things on how to set up a meeting, etc. So this discussion. I had already asked her, by the way, before I came to Kharkov to set up such a meeting. So we had some adventures in Kharkov, and I will tell you about this one, which was a few things, only a few. The rest you can read. We went shopping. We went to the supermarket to buy some things. I also took some things that I took with me from the Netherlands, and we were going to give that to a orphanage. So we went shopping, and when I'm shopping or when I'm cycling, I'm usually very focused. I don't notice people. For example, I can ride past someone on my bicycle and don't recognize him or her at all, because I'm thinking and preparing email in my head, something like that. Can be very. I'm usually very focused. In supermarket as well, I wasn't not listening to anything people were saying, but she did. She was, and she said, "Oh, what?" She told me what people in the supermarket said. They said, yeah, she was a foreigner, and he looks good. I know that, of course, means both in appearance and clothes. And the reason I tell this, I will tell later. Now we come to yoga class. So I went to a yoga class with her. She suggested it. I don't think that's useful. Don't think meditation is useful. The guy who was teaching it, she knew, and she asked. We talked a bit with him, and he said that we talked a bit about meditation, for example, and he said that he had been close to the enlightened stage. My friend then asked me afterwards when we were walking away, what did you think of him? And yes, I said, yeah, I can't really give an answer to that yet. I need to think about it. And later it became clear why. Normally he seemed pleasant enough, so I should have been able to give him an answer, but I knew something was not right subconsciously. And it turned out he was part of this group that she had been involved with, who bought his lands and tried to get blow life into a village and sold the honey, things like that, and who were also part in that restaurant. I didn't know that yet at this time, that they were the same group as in the restaurant. Anyway, so he said he was close to being enlightened. I don't think so. That's because of his behavior. We were walking in the snow, talking a bit, and then really came out what happened with that group. So they used her recipes. It was in the restaurant already. They used her. She didn't get paid for work. They used her recipes, and she said, well, it's okay, did this or that. No, it's not okay. If you're making money from someone else, you need to pay for that. So she said about this guy and the group, they're not bad people, they're trying to improve the world. And secondly, I asked, why do you still hang out with these people or meet them or take lessons with them? Well, I showed them that I'm not affected by them, which is nonsense. They are bad people because of their behavior. They used her, but also they tested her in an antisocial manner with hiking shoes on the hiking trip to Crimea. So for long trips you need hiking shoes. I know that from after my first long hikes, which were in Ukraine, because I've never really been interested. But hiking is the best way, or making long walks, to see everything in the city. So I did that, and I got problems with blisters. For the next trip in Ukraine, I bought hiking shoes. She didn't know it either at that time. She hadn't made long hiking trips, but they knew it. And they tested her by letting her go on a hiking trip without talking about it. I think they knew that she didn't have hiking shoes and didn't know about it. Of course, she got blisters, she got pain, and she did not let on about that to them, which was really good, because they were testing her, which is antisocial. I know you want to know how people behave, what they are really like in a group, but this is not the right way to do it. It's unfriendly. So she told me about the group, that the people in this group were in that restaurant as well. And They told me of hardships they had. For example, people trying to destroy crops or destroy some of their equipment or stealing some things. Some people there just didn't like them, and some businesses apparently didn't like them around as well. Anyway, they dumped her at some point, she told me, and the reason was that one guy was interested, who was single, was interested in her. She was not interested in him, so they searched someone who searched out someone who was similar in knowledge, for example, in recipes, cooking food, etc. And at that point, when they found someone who was interested in that guy, they dumped her. She was no longer needed. It's of course a problem if you don't have assets of yourself that are involved, then you can be easily dumped. But in any case, what is clear about such groups? So they behaved. I wrote here that relationship issues are logically an issue in such groups. If any in the group are single, but no matter how such things go, you should always treat people properly, especially in a group that tries to do something good. Otherwise, you're hypocritical, and that's what such groups and people from such groups almost always are. They care about ideals, not people. They're often selfish. They like to meditate, but then they don't care about educating their children, or they go begging for food, which means being reliant on other people, using other people. It's just they also did. So I was really disgusted about that behavior, and more came later. Let's see. We went, for example, to a Christmas bazaar. Yeah. And she showed me honey that was for sale there, various types of herbs added, and noticed that I mentioned that one guy on the Vkontakte page sold honey. Well, she said these were her creations, so there were some herbs added to the honey, and they were sold by that group. She got nothing from it, so I was disgusted about these people, even more so. Yeah, her mother was a nasty piece of work. She didn't like that I'd been interested in her for more than friendship. She wasn't really interested, she made it clear, but it was years ago. In any case, she made nasty remarks. In the end, I decided to leave. But second point that I wanted, or what I wanted to tell you about clothes. So I mentioned clothes, and she said at one point that I dressed like a tramp. I said, wait, what? What are you talking about? Well, you dress inappropriately. I mean, I was wearing summer trousers, but I wasn't cold. I usually wear thin trousers, even in winter. Otherwise, I get too hot with my. I have big leg muscles. Always had them, not just from cycling. And this shows you their behavior, but also that she was influenceable, because she said then she didn't think about it, but it was her friends. We met on a trip. I think it's perhaps some of them that are the from the group, but I think it's more the few other friends that we met. They mentioned this, and so I asked, what do people think about me then when they see me here? People in general, I mean. And she said, yeah, you're a foreigner with expensive quality Western clothes. Well, clothes weren't really expensive, but this is, of course, it seems contradictory. Why talking about a tramp? Because you dress inappropriately. But the issue I have is that she said it as if it was her view, her opinion. And then she said, no, I didn't think about it until they mentioned it. So some friends that we met when we were looking for hiking shoes for her. Yeah, let's see. yeah, I returned to the Netherlands, and I think from this story, yeah, let's call it an audiobook, you can see how weird it is that people, or you can see the weirdness in people trying to do something good, but almost always they are antisocial, destructive in some way. This group was trying to do ecological living, trying to blow life into a village, create something positive, but at the same time they used my friend. They didn't pay her in the restaurant. They used her recipes in the restaurant. I mean, for actual work that she did, cooking, etc. Then in that group, they tested her on in an antisocial manner. They used again her recipes for the honey and other knowledge of her. Yeah, it's weird. It's weird that so often these kinds of people are destructive, negative in some way. This is not the worst group. At least they're self-sufficient, but and not begging for food, or like the Hare Krishna, or as many who meditate do in like Buddhists. In Buddhism, you have it a lot. I don't agree. I don't agree with that. I think that's bad. Yeah, but so what annoyed me was this pattern: same thing, same time, same thing everywhere, all the time. Okay, that's it for now. Bye.